The ballroom glittered like a scene from a dream. All polished marble floors and chandeliers dripping with crystal. But for Harper Sullivan, the night felt like a trap snapping shut. She stood against the wall, clutching her purse as if it could shield her from the 68 pairs of eyes flicking her way, some curious, some pitying, none kind. The string quartet's melody floated above the hum of laughter and clinking glasses. All celebrating her brother Mason's promotion. Mason, the golden son, the decorated Marine, basked in the adoration like he was born for it. Harper, at 27, was just the afterthought, the sister who didn't fit into the Sullivan family's perfect American dream. She'd told herself she came out of duty, family shows up. Even when they don't show up for you. But as she hovered near the back, her mother, Evelyn, glided through the crowd, her diamond necklace catching the light as easily as her practiced smile. Her father, Richard, held court by the bar, his booming laugh drawing in Mason's Marine buddies. Harper watched, invisible as always, her dark hair pulled back, her navy dress carefully chosen to blend in, not stand out. Nice of you to show. Harper, a woman she barely recognized, murmured as she passed, her tone polite but strained, like Harper's presence was a favor to someone. Harper forced a smile. Wouldn't miss it, she lied, her voice barely audible over the quartet. Then Evelyn spotted her. Her mother's smile tightened, just enough to betray the truth. She approached, heels clicking like gunfire on the marble. You didn't have to come if you were just going to sulk, Evelyn said, loud enough for a nearby couple to overhear. They glanced at Harper, their faces a mix of pity and amusement. The kind reserved for someone who'd already lost the game. I didn't say anything, Harper replied softly, her words edged with defiance. Evelyn's eyes narrowed, her lips parting to retort. But before she could, Mason sauntered over, a whiskey glass in hand, his dress blues gleaming with medals. Well, look who's here, he said, his voice carrying that too loud, too casual tone meant to draw attention. Harper, what is it you do again? Oh, right, graphic design. Cute hobby. Not everyone can serve their country, I guess. His grin was a blade, sharp and deliberate. Something inside Harper snapped. At least my work doesn't come with a built-in cheering section. She shot back, her voice light but trembling with rage. Mason's smirk flickered, just for a moment, but it was enough to feel like a small victory. Then a shadow fell over them. Richard, her father's jaw was tight, his eyes already bloodshot from the bourbon. What did you just say? His voice was low, a warning that made Harper's stomach plummet. She opened her mouth to answer, but the world moved too fast. His fist cracked against her face, the sound louder than the music, sharper than the gasps that followed. The quartet faltered, conversations died, pain exploded through Harper's jaw. And before she could process it, Richard's hand was in her hair, yanking her backward toward the exit like she was garbage to be thrown out. The crowd's collective inhale hung in the air, but no one moved. 68 people, dressed in their finest, watched in silence as Harper stumbled, her scalp burning. And then, through the ringing in her ears, she heard it, Evelyn's laugh. Sharp and delighted, like this was the highlight of her night. Mason clapped, slow and mocking. You had it coming, he said, his words slicing deeper than the blow. The hallway outside was cold, the air heavy with the scent of polished wood and shame. Richard released her just beyond the doors, and Harper caught herself against the wall. Her lip split, blood dripping onto her dress. She didn't look back. She couldn't. Her legs carried her to the parking lot, each step heavier than the last. By the time she reached her car, her hands shook so badly she could barely unlock the door. She slammed it shut behind her, as if it could block out Evelyn's laugh, Mason's words, the silence of the crowd that did nothing. In the rearview mirror, a stranger stared back, her lips swollen, her hair a tangled mess, her eyes red with tears she didn't remember shedding. She wiped the blood from her chin and whispered, "This isn't just one night. This is war." Her fingers trembled as she pulled out her phone. She stared at the screen, her breath shallow, then gripped it tightly. "It's time," she said to herself, her voice steadying. She dialed a number she hadn't called in years. The line rang 3 times before a groggy voice answered. Harper? Lauren, Harper said, her voice cracking but resolute. I need your help. I don't know who else to call. Talk to me, Lauren said, and it was enough to break the dam. Harper poured it all out, the moment she walked into the ballroom. The sting of Mason's words. The crack of Richard's fist. The humiliation of being dragged out while Evelyn laughed and Mason clapped. She didn't soften the truth. Didn't spare the ugliness. Lauren listened, silent but present, until Harper's voice gave out. Raw and hoarse. When she finished, Lauren's tone was calm but fierce. Come to my office tomorrow morning. We'll fix this. I promise. Harper hung up, her heart still racing but her resolve hardening. She wasn't done. She opened her contacts again and found Jack. Her landlord, a retired cop turned private investigator who'd always watched her with a quiet, protective eye. She left a voicemail, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. Jack, it's Harper. I need your help. It's urgent. Call me back. Within minutes, her phone buzzed with a text. You're safe. I'll dig. It wasn't much, but it felt like armor. She drove home on autopilot, her knuckles white on the steering wheel, the hum of the tires the only sound in her small car. Her mind was a storm. Richard's fist, Evelyn's laugh, Mason's clap, the crowd's silence. By the time she parked outside her modest Austin apartment, the adrenaline had faded, and the pain settled in. Her jaw throbbed with every heartbeat. She climbed the narrow stairs, each step heavier than the last, and pushed open her door. The silence of her apartment nearly broke her. She wanted to scream. Instead, she locked the door, leaned against it, and breathed, slow, shaky, deliberate breaths. In the harsh light of her bathroom, she faced the mirror. Her lip was swollen, the left side of her face bruising purple. Her hair a tangled wreck where Richard's fingers had torn through it. The dress she'd saved for, the one she'd hoped would make her belong, was torn at the shoulder. She didn't cry. Her body had decided she'd already given them enough. Harper grabbed her phone and took photos, her face, her dress, her arms. Evidence, she thought, the word looping in her mind. This wasn't just a bad night. This wasn't another bruise to hide. She couldn't let them bury her again. Sitting on the edge of her bed, she scrolled through her contacts, pausing at Lauren's name. Back in college, Lauren had been a brilliant law student. One bad semester from losing everything. Harper had slipped her textbooks, bought her meals, even covered part of her rent once. You saved me, Lauren had said then. Now, she was one of Austin's top attorneys. Harper sat back, opened her laptop, and attached the photos to an email for Lauren. Her fingers hesitated for a moment before she hit send. As the message disappeared into the ether, her heart slowed, her hands steadied. They don't know what's coming, she whispered, clutching her phone like a lifeline. In the quiet of her apartment, Harper Sullivan wasn't the broken daughter anymore. She was a spark, ready to ignite. The Austin night was heavy with the scent of rain as Harper Sullivan pulled into the cracked parking lot of a 24-hour diner on the edge of town. The neon sign flickered, casting a sickly glow over her car. She rolled down the window, letting the cool air hit her bruised face. Still tender from her father's fist 2 nights ago. Her phone buzzed relentlessly. Messages from strangers. Distant cousins. Old high school friends who'd seen the first whispers of her story online. But Harper wasn't here to check notifications. She was here to set the world ablaze. Inside, the diner smelled of burnt coffee and grease, its faded booths holding the ghosts of late-night confessions. Harper spotted Lauren Carter, her lawyer, in the back, her tailored blazer out of place among the chipped Formica tables. Across from her sat Jack Reed, her landlord and ex-cop turned pie. His leather jacket worn but his eyes sharp. You look like hell, Jack said as Harper slid into the booth, his bluntness almost comforting. Good to see you too, Harper replied, her voice dry but steady. Lauren didn't waste time on pleasantries. She slid a manila folder across the table, her expression grim. I told you it was bad, she said. But this is worse. Harper opened the folder, her breath catching as she scanned the documents. Bank statements, wire transfers, company filings with names she didn't recognize. Her trust fund, The one set up by her grandmother to secure her future. Had been gutted. Hundreds of thousands of dollars siphoned through shell companies. Funneled to fuel her brother Mason's promotion. They didn't just misuse your money, Lauren said, her voice laced with disgust. They laundered it through Mason. That party? Paid for with your inheritance. Jack leaned forward, his arms resting on the table. Mason bragged about it at work. Said he was making big moves with family money. Acted like it was his genius at play. I kept quiet then. Not anymore. Harper's fingers tightened around the folder, her nails digging into the paper. So they stole from me. Beat me. Then threw a party to celebrate it. Her voice was low, but it carried the weight of years of betrayal. Jack nodded. That's the size of it. Lauren's eyes gleamed with purpose. This isn't just assault anymore, Harper. This is fraud. Grand larceny. Maybe more. We can take this to court. To the press. Anywhere you want. They won't see it coming. Harper closed the folder, letting the weight of it ground her. They thought I'd stay quiet, she said slowly. They thought I'd break. She met Lauren's gaze. I want everything, civil, criminal, public, but on my terms. Jack glanced at Lauren, then back at Harper. There's more. One of the guests recorded your father's outburst. Full video, him hitting you, dragging you, Mason clapping like a damn fool. I can get it. For the first time in days. Harper's lips curved into a ghost of a smile. Then we give them what they wanted. Attention, but not the kind they can control. By mid-morning, Harper was back at Lauren's sleek downtown office. 2 coffees in hand, one for her, one for Lauren. The bruises on her face still ached, but she didn't bother hiding them. Lauren looked up from her desk, her eyes scanning Harper's face. You sure about this? She asked. Nodding at the folder Harper clutched like a weapon. Yes, Harper said, her voice unwavering. Once we do this, there's no going back. You'll be the woman who took down her own family. You ready for that? Harper sank into the leather chair across from Lauren's desk. They made me their punching bag for years. Now they can be the headline. Lauren nodded and got to work, drafting a statement that framed Harper not as a victim, but as a survivor reclaiming her power. It detailed the assault, the theft, the betrayal, all backed by the evidence Jack had uncovered. This tells your story without begging for pity, Lauren said. It's strong. Like you. Good, Harper replied. Because I'm done playing weak. By noon, they were at an upscale cafe downtown. The kind where Austin's elites sipped overpriced lattes and pretended their lives were perfect. Harper wasn't here to blend in. She was here to meet Riley Parker, a journalist she'd known in college. Riley had built a name exposing corruption in Texas business circles, and she owed Harper for getting her out of a bad spot during an internship years ago. Riley slid into the booth 10 minutes late, her curly hair frazzled but her eyes sharp with curiosity. Harper, she said, you sounded like you were declaring war on the phone. This will explain why, Harper said, handing her a flash drive and a few printed documents. There's a video on there. My father, my brother, the whole thing. And proof they stole my trust fund to bankroll Mason's career. Riley's eyebrows shot up as she skimmed the pages. You're okay with me running this? This isn't just family drama. This is fraud, assault, public humiliation. That's the point, Harper said, her voice steady. I stay anonymous for now. Riley nodded, tucking the drive into her bag. This is going to explode. The article dropped that evening. Its headline cutting like a blade. Prominent Austin businessman caught on camera assaulting daughter, financial misconduct alleged. Within hours, the internet was ablaze. The unedited video Riley released showed everything. Richard's fist slamming into Harper's face, his hand yanking her hair. Mason clapping like it was a performance. No spin, just raw truth. Social media erupted. Comments ranging from outrage to disbelief. Who hits their own daughter? One read, imagine clapping while your sister bleeds. Said another. Harper's phone lit up with messages. Support from strangers. Shock from old friends. Silence from her family. Lauren called as Harper sat in her car. The city lights blurring outside. They're panicking, Lauren said, a hint of amusement in her voice. Your father called my office. Wants to meet. No, Harper said without hesitation. They wanted silence. Let them choke on it. But the Sullivans didn't stay quiet. By morning, a counterattack hit. A heavily edited video surfaced online, painting Richard as a calm father pleading with a volatile Harper. Her post-assault anger spliced to make her look unhinged. The comments were brutal. Liar. Gold digger. Daddy's girl gone rogue. Harper's stomach dropped as she watched it spread. Her family rewriting reality to bury her again. Lauren was on the phone in seconds. They've filed a defamation suit and an injunction, she said. Her voice clipped. They hired Marcus Layden. Harper froze. Marcus Layden was a fixer. The kind corporations called to bury scandals. They're coming hard, Lauren warned. You can't be scared. I'm not. Harper lied. Though her voice trembled, she hung up, only to see her phone light up again. Her mother. Evelyn. Against her better judgment, Harper answered. Harper. Evelyn hissed, her voice dripping with venom. You've gone too far. You've humiliated us. Your father hasn't left his study. Mason can't show his face at work. You should have stayed quiet. You laughed while he hit me. Harper shot back, gripping the counter to keep from screaming. And you're mad at me for telling the truth? You think this is about truth? Evelyn snapped. You survive in this family by knowing when to shut up. Then I'm done surviving, Harper said, hanging up before Evelyn could respond. She caught her reflection in the microwave door, bruised. Tired, but her eyes burned with something new. Not fear, resolve. The courthouse steps loomed like a battlefield as Harper walked up, the weight of every camera flash and whisper pressing against her. Lauren strode beside her, calm and unyielding, while Jack followed, carrying a binder thick with evidence. Inside, the air was cold, the tension thick enough to choke on. Richard sat at the plaintiff's table, his charcoal suit pristine, his face a mask of control. Mason, pale and stripped of his usual swagger, avoided her gaze. Evelyn sat rigid, her lips pressed into a thin, white line, refusing to look at Harper. Lauren leaned over, her voice a whisper. They're on the defensive. Remember that. The judge entered, and the room fell silent. Marcus Layden stood, his voice booming with confidence. Your Honor, my clients have been defamed. Their reputations, built over decades, have been dragged through the mud by baseless accusations and a misleading video. Harper's pulse pounded, but she kept her face still. Misleading? Lauren stood, her voice like steel. Your Honor, we reject these claims and present evidence that Harper Sullivan was the victim of physical assault, financial exploitation, and defamation, by the very people suing her. She nodded to Jack, who handed over the binder. Lauren opened it, laying out the truth piece by piece: bank statements, emails, wire transfers. This is a paper trail proving Richard Sullivan siphoned hundreds of thousands from Harper's trust fund into shell companies, then used those funds to secure Mason Sullivan's promotion. This was her money, stolen to bankroll the event where she was assaulted. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Mason shifted uncomfortably. Richard's jaw tightened, but he didn't flinch. The judge's brow furrowed. Are you prepared to substantiate these claims? Yes, Your Honor, Lauren said. We have testimony from financial investigators and documentation from the companies involved. Layden sputtered. This is irrelevant to the defamation suit. No, the judge cut in. It's highly relevant. If these records are accurate, this court must consider whether the plaintiffs engaged in criminal conduct. I am unsealing these records for review. The courtroom buzzed. Murmurs. Gasps. Reporters scribbling furiously. For the first time, Harper saw Richard falter, his control slipping like sand through his fingers. At recess, Harper stepped into the bright Austin sun. Cameras waiting. Lauren gave her a nod. And Harper approached the microphones. Her voice steady. For years, I let them call me the problem child. The failure. Today, I reclaim my name. This isn't just about one night. It's about years of abuse, theft, and betrayal. I won't be silent. Behind her, Lauren handed Riley a flash drive with the full, unedited video. Within an hour, it was everywhere. The raw footage showed Richard's fist, Harper's blood, Mason's clap. No edits. No lies. By day's end, Richard's company lost 2 major contracts. Mason resigned. citing personal reasons. Evelyn still wouldn't meet Harper's eyes. In Lauren's office that evening, she asked, "Are you satisfied?" Harper paused, her fingers brushing the necklace her mother had torn from her neck at the party. She fastened it back on, its weight grounding her. "It's not satisfaction," she said. "It's freedom." As she stepped into the cool night, the city lights stretched before her, bright and unyielding. Harper Sullivan was no longer the girl they'd tried to break. She was fire, and she'd burned their world to ash.